Hi, I'm Kim from Live Aware Now. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I'll be sharing lots of cool information on emotion, on what it is, how to identify it, how to deal with it, and then how to use it to our advantage. So click the like buttons on my videos and then hit that subscribe button so that you'll have access to all my future videos. Thanks a lot. Good morning, guys. Trying something a little bit different today, and I'm by the lake, which the wind could kick up and we could have some wind noise, so I apologize for that. I'm also trying to shoot this landscape mode because I'm also looking at adding this to my YouTube live, maybe tying those in. So anyway, trying something different, so we'll see how it goes. So today I want to start out by kind of talking about the stuff with yesterday. We had talked about your relationship or our relationship with fear and what that looks like. Is it kind of a bully, or is it that adrenaline mode, or is it more of a friend slash helper? So today I want to start out by seeing, if you're able to kind of look at that and how that shows up in our relationship with fear. Really it ends up feeding in today and how fear affects us individually and societally. So when we have like a friendly relationship with fear, and we can get its messages, and then we can translate those into action, then that's a helpful response. And that kind of a relationship tends to not create problems in our body, negative consequences. Whereas when we have that bully mentality, where it's making us do certain things, and it's taking over our entire thought process, then that really does end up affecting our lives and our bodies and our minds and even society. So today I want to talk about what the negative aspects are to being in a fear state on a consistent basis. I've taken some notes because I really don't want to overlook things today. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at my notes. So please forgive me. It's a big topic. So the way fear is meant to be utilized is in a situational occurrence. So like right now, if a wild animal were to come down the trail here, I'd have to assess that to see if that was a threat to me, right? And if it was, then I would have to appropriately respond. And my body at that point would go into a fight, flight, or freeze mode, and then my body would be filled with neurotransmitters and hormones to make me respond. And that's good. We want that when it's appropriate. So that's the good aspect. Now, if on the other hand, if I was standing here and I was just worried all the time that something is going to show up, then that would be giving me a constant drip of all of those neurotransmitters and hormones, and namely cortisol. And I want you guys to understand that cortisol is not bad in and of itself. Cortisol, when appropriately used, is amazing, and there's lots of things where we really need cortisol in our bodies. However, when we're in a constant fear state, we have a steady drip of that cortisol and adrenaline and noradrenaline into our bodies. All right, so how does that affect us right now, and why is it so important that we get a handle on fear right now? All right, so right now we're facing the pandemic. Okay, and whatever your beliefs are on it, the reality is that there is a virus, and it is It is it's out there, and it's something that our bodies might need to respond to through our immunity. And one of the biggest things that happens to our bodies when we are in a fight, flight, or freeze moment, okay, or constant drip, like I was referring to, is that it reduces our lymphocytes in our bloodstream. So our lymphocytes are one of our types of white blood cells. And our white blood cells are, well, they're a huge part of our immune response. So by being in a fear state on a continuous basis, we end up reducing our immunity. I don't know about you, but right now, I don't want my immunity to be suppressed. And when we're in a constant fear state, then we end up with chronic immune suppression. That's not something that I want right now. So to me, that is a huge reason for me to get a handle on fear and get a handle on my fear response. So, and in the body also, that constant, drip of those survival hormones and neurotransmitters, your cortisol, your adrenaline, your noradrenaline, they also end up wreaking havoc on our cardiovascular system and on our digestive system. And in another video, I'm going to explain why, because it really, once you understand the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems, you're going to start to understand that there's really good reasons why it affects our immunity, our cardiovascular system, and our digestion. So, all right, so that's one aspect, is our body. All right, if that was the only thing that was going on when we have a fear response, and that it's I'm going to call it an unnecessary or unhelpful fear response, because there's times where we need it, right? Okay, but when it's unnecessary, if it only affected my body, that would be one thing. But it also affects my mind, right? And it affects my mind in ways that have a cascade and a domino effect on how I end up dealing with the rest of my life. Right? So a big piece of the fears response in the mind is that it shuts down the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is where you get a lot of your higher reasoning, and it also helps regulate emotion. So if part of my mind is literally getting shut down, if part of my brain is literally getting shut down to help me regulate emotion, then that fear response can spiral out of control. So that's one piece. The other thing is that when it does that, it also kind of shunts me to look for other coping mechanisms. And, coping mechanisms are anything from eating when I'm not hungry, trying to calm myself, eating things that are not necessarily good for me. Sugar has a direct effect on the immune system and also suppresses the immune system. So, but when I'm not feeling well, reaching for that cookie or that bag of cookies or whatever it is, the whole pie, whatever it is for you, right, or for me, that sugar is going to give me a hit. There's an initial spike, but then I have a drop, and then it's also lowering my immune system. So, eating is a coping mechanism, smoking is a coping mechanism, drinking, getting on social media. And I'm going to talk a little bit more on why we end up getting on social media later in another video. There's just too much to try to cover for today. But those are all coping mechanisms. And that is something that directly happens when we are experiencing a fear state, when we are living in a fear state. So the other piece that I want to talk about today is how it affects our society. All right. I already mentioned that when we're in a fear state, we end up shutting down that prefrontal cortex. That also helps with our logic and reasoning. So we end up doing a lot of knee-jerk reactions based out of fear. and we get kind of myopic in our vision. We end up really, focusing in on some tiny aspect. And, ironically, this is kind of what led into that whole toilet paper hoarding thing. People were scared, and they were kind of, and this isn't to say anything about anybody in particular, but all of us, when we get into that fear state, when we have an unknown as big as what this has been, and an unknown in any situation, we shut down that prefrontal cortex. We don't make good logical decisions. We react on the emotion. And anytime there is an emotion and there's a thought, the emotion is going to win. The emotion is going to take over. So getting control of our fear state it's imperative right now, you guys. It is so imperative. We need our immunity, right? We need to be taking care of ourselves in really, really healthy ways. And we need to also be thinking really, really clearly and to be able to take the big picture in, because I can tell you the problems that COVID-19 has caused in our society and around our world, right? Around our world are so immense. We have to be able to broaden our focus and to be able to take in so much information and to be able to look at it in a really grounded, logical way. And have that emotion of fear be able to give us direction and help us get some focus on certain areas. But we need to be able to have that flexibility to go down and focus hard on a subject, but then expand and see the big picture as well. And when we're able to kind of pull ourselves out of that fear, we're also able to see things a lot more clearly. So, yeah, you guys, those are just a couple of the things that fear does to our body, mind, if you will, and then into the greater area of our society. I kind of apologize right now. Being out in this wind, I'm shivering a little bit. It's kind of cold today, a little bit colder than yesterday. So I'm going to wrap up. I've got several ideas on where I'm going with this for tomorrow. If you have a request, please leave it in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to also be working at tying this into my YouTube, so I'll let you know when I do that and how that's going. As I've said, I'm learning all of this and learning stuff every single day. So I hope that this is helpful for you. I really hope that this gives you just a really, really good solid basis into why we need to take control of our fear states, why we need to really be protecting ourselves and getting control of that. We need it for our immunity, we need it for our higher thinking, and we need it just for being able to cope on a daily basis with all of the uncertainty that we have right now. So I really hope that you guys have a great day. All right, enjoy, and sending you all love. Thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow. Mwah!